Exactly. He
YouTube. It's
said it
video.
publicly. He said it publicly during the
Yeah,
whole
yeah. So I
Oh,
know, a lot of people
okay,
are
so
like,
you asked.
During the whole when did this
during
happen?
the presidential race when they would
yeah,
debate each other. He
yeah,
Oh,
he specified
Oh,
that he was going to
okay.
do that.
Campaign promises we're talking about here. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
that doesn't
and
really, that's
which
not really relevant during an oil embargo,
no, hold
right?
It's
on.
relevant to his intentions, Kevin. You're missing the point. He's talking about, we can all agree that he's attacking our ability to provide
Well,
gas to our country.
at this point, we can all agree on the campaign trail that he said he was going to regulate the oil industry, which a lot of times
He
gets
didn't say
you
regulate. He said he was going to get rid of it. He's all
Yeah.
about the Green New Deal. He totally stopped the Keystone Pipeline the first day he was in office.
What do you mean
So-
stop the Keystone Pipeline?
Okay, so okay, so the Keystone Pipeline
Shut it down.
It shut
What do you
down
mean
the extension. There's an extension
Right.
that was
Right.
in progress. And
So-
it was to bring oil to refineries in the US
From Canada,
more
right?
easily,
Real
more
quick,
convenient. I mean, from
the
Canada
Keystone-
to the US.
The Keystone Pipeline goes from like Alberta till Texas somewhere, and they want to
Yes.
extend another like 200 miles or something like that.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
the Keystone Pipeline is up and operational, and it's
Yeah.
at full capacity.
Yeah,
Of
but
all-
the extension, we're talking about the 200 miles of extension, right? So why is the extension convenient, right? So right now, because there's no extension, right? Things have to be transported in other ways, right? And
the way that they always have been.
and what does that cost, right? That brings higher gas prices because now you got a
What do you
transportation.
mean higher gas prices? I mean, gas
Yeah,
prices
because
were like $1.80 in 2016, and the extension to the pipeline didn't exist then.
No, but
why-
it would help
why was
now.
gas
It would
prices
help.
so
It would
cheap?
help now. It would help now.
It could help. That is an argument, but you can't say because it's not built, that's the reason that they're.
It's not
Yeah.
the
As high
sole
as-
reason. It's not the so there are many
It's
factors.
part.
This is
It's part.
multifaceted.
Okay.
So
What's
when,
it-
when
what
Trump
else?
when Trump was in office, he was all for being self-reliant on oil, right? In other words, he was full blast on America first. We need to stop depending on foreign oil. We need to be able to supply our own oil. So let's talk about like Russia, right? Last week you guys talked about gas prices in Russia. There's a reason why gas prices in Russia are low and Venezuela and countries like that, because they're oil producing countries. The US right now, there's plenty of articles online that say that the US is sitting on more untapped oil than all other countries combined.
That is
Okay.
true.
I don't know. Whoa.
I don't know about
Oh,
Venezuela.
oh,
though.
wow.
How that-
I don't know about
Okay, I know
Venezuela.
Let's
more
agree-
than Russia, more
let's agree-
than Saudi Arabia, more than Venezuela combined. Let's just say that.
Well,
Even
let's agree that there's
Venezuela.
a lot. Let's agree that there's a lot of oil underneath American
Well, there's an
ground.
article by
Okay.
CNN that says that.
Okay.
So
Agreed.
So let me
Agreed.
finish real quick. So let's just say that instead of trying to go full blast, because right now oil prices are high, and Biden's Secretary of Energy, whatever, she just had a press conference the other day, and she was talking about, while oil prices are high, right now is the time to go fully green, right? Let's speed up on the green stuff, right? But everybody should buy electric cars. Okay, not everyone has money to buy $60,000 electric cars. We should go completely solar, wind, all this stuff. I think she's doing the opposite of what should be done. What should be done is we should pump up our oil production, go full blast on that. Now, Saki, whatever her name is, she was on doing her little thing that she does every week or whatever. And they asked her about that. Well, can't we just start production now? And she says, well, even if we start it today, it would take 6 years for us to be completely self-reliant on oil. Well, isn't that even more of a reason to start now? Let's start now, and let's slowly over to electric.
Renee,
right now-
I just
Yeah,
want
go
to
ahead.
back you up on the untapped. In the article that you actually mentioned, it says America now has more untapped oil than any other country on the planet. That's according to a new report from Rystad Energy that estimates the US is sitting on an incredible 264 billion barrels of oil reserves.
I even saw a small video on YouTube that said that the US has so much oil that it would be able to supply us plus all our European partners for the next 400 years.
I mean, I kind of conceded that is probably true, that the U.S. probably has more oil and gas.
Yeah, but here's
And-
the problem though, right? We're worried about global warming.
Mhm,
And the key word here is global, right? Global means the world, right?
mhm.
I believe
if-
the preferred nomenclature is climate change.
No,
Okay,
but they're
the whole
concerned
thing
about
is
how it's
global.
affecting the
Affecting
globe,
the globe, right?
Kevin.
The warming. So,
Right.
but here's the problem with that. You can't, us by ourselves, America can't save the world by ourselves. We need people like India, China, Russia to also do that, right? And if they're not willing to go as far as we are, then we're not even affecting the carbon footprint, not even by a little. So what we're doing is we're hurting ourselves, right? We're taking away our own ability to produce our own oil.
Renee, can I
we're
add to that?
And we're making countries like Russia and China more powerful because they're willing to pollute the world just to become the superpowers that they want to be. And
Well,
I
and
think
then
that. Go ahead,
Keep
Cynthia.
going. No, I was just going to add to that. And the reason being is we have more regulations on how we
Yes.
produce the oil.
Yes. Yeah.
Than all these other countries who don't. So if they're really concerned about climate change and global warming, it's counterintuitive
Yeah,
to
it
allow
is.
other
Yes.
countries to do it when they don't have those types
Well,
of
right
regulations.
now we're going to OPEC and we're begging them. Well, they're not even taking our calls. We're begging them to pump more oil, right?
which is a
In other
problem
words-
in and of itself.
In other words, pretty much begging them to pollute the world even more. We're
I have a-
actually talking about going to Venezuela, a dictator who we completely shut out, going
Yeah.
back to him and asking him to produce oil for us because to try to fill in the little 6%. I guess it's only 6% of the oil we get from the world. Well, guess what? Right? There's special.
From
there's,
Russia, from Russia,
Yeah, from Russia.
From
From Russia. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
From Russia.
yeah.
And there was this guy, a guy on Fox News the other day that said that, or not even Fox, it wasn't even Fox News, it was mainstream media that was saying that we're not gonna, right now as things stand, we're not gonna be able to make up that 6% because we can't find Saudi Arabia is not taking our calls, and people are really against it going to Venezuela to get oil. So that's the problem.
But
So
don't you
instead-
think that the U.S. producers are going to step up now, Renee?
No, here's
'Cause
here's the thing. I'd like to say something about that. I know where you're going with this, Mike. So let me answer that really quickly, okay?
well, it would be logical, is all. Since the price of oil is going
Yeah.
up so high, wouldn't it be logical that Texas and so on would start drilling more?
Yes. Here's the problem with that. So Saki, the last couple of times I've seen her on the news, her, Biden, Kamala Harris, even the skeleton broad from Bay Area. What's her name? The leader of the House. or
Oh,
whatever,
Pelosi.
Pelosi, yeah. Even her, she's saying, "Well, everyone's blaming." Well, first they blamed Putin, right? And now it's like, dude, you can't. The oil price was going up before Putin, right? So now they're saying, well, it's big oil. They have 9,000 leases and they're not drilling. So with Fox, because I watch Fox News, I'm total bias. I watch Fox News,
You're
and
fair. That's all.
and what they were saying was what they did is they got oil executives to come in and they said, okay, so this is what Saki says. Can you answer that question? Why aren't you guys drilling? They said, look, they're giving us, yes, we might have 9,000 leases to drill. He's all, but you got to understand, just because we drill doesn't mean there's going to be oil there. Okay.
Renee,
So we're
I'm
gonna
talking
spend-
about existing. I'm talking about existing. 3 years ago, we were almost energy independent. The COVID came along. We cut our production massively,
Okay,
right?
yeah,
Fair? Am I
yes,
so far
yes,
so good?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So then we cut our production down. Okay.
Yep.
We are now slowly ramping back up.
Okay.
But the same sources that we were using 3 years ago are still there. It's not like they have to go out and drill new wells. They simply have to start producing at a much higher rate.
Yeah,
When
but
given
here's the
that-
problem. Yeah, the
ahead,
answer
go
to
ahead.
that is that they don't have because COVID came and because of what happened with the whole COVID, the slowing down oil and everything, you gotta understand they changed they're pumping, they changed everything, right? That means they lost
No,
workers.
no, they didn't change everything. No, they
No,
didn't.
no,
They just
did.
slowed
The
everything down.
production, the production of it. So that means
Okay.
less workers, less everything. He said, we can't just overnight start pumping all
Agreed.
this oil. Right?
Agreed,
All
agreed.
right. So, and you can only pump so much oil from those sorts of existing,
Wait a minute, you just got finished telling me we had more oil than anybody
yes, but
else
not,
in the world.
that's just,
and
in
now
that
you're
one-
telling me
Untapped, Mike,
And now you-
untapped reserves is what he
no,
said.
But-
no, I'm
but
talking
you're-
about,
You're trying
I'm
to
talking about-
imply, that Biden is keeping oil companies, private oil companies from drilling oil, and they're not.
no.
Drilling, yes. You mean,
No, the answer that the executives have on that is that right now, yes, we're in trouble, right? So yes, okay, they could start pumping millions of dollars into drilling and doing all this stuff and going full blast. But they have no guarantee that when things get back to normal, let's say Russia stops what they're doing right now, and then the US slowly starts to recover, that the Biden administration in the power right now is not gonna, the next day, boom, stop everything.
Stop
So-
everything what? Stop
As
everything
far
what?
as far as going full green again. Like
Renee,
they're not willing to invest billions
You're-
of dollars.
Renee,
They're willing to
it's-
invest billions of dollars
correct-
for
Renee,
with,
correct
with,
me if
with,
I'm wrong.
with an administration that could stop them again, putting a
It
lot of
can't stop.
regulation.
It can't stop them. It's private
It
production,
can't.
Renee.
No,
it
it
can't.
can't because of the regulations. They
They-
can't.
COVID did.
There's so much red tape. There's so much red tape. It says even if we start drilling,
There
we
are
find
nine-
oil, we find oil there. There's still tons of obstacles we have to get across. Regulations, all these really strict regulations that doesn't allow them to really comfortably drill and do what they got to do because of all the
Comfortably
regulations that are
drill?
there.
And that's from the oil executives, Mike. So
Yes.
you can't
No,
really challenge
no.
that if they're the ones
Yes.
that are claiming this.
Yes. No, the
You
oil
can't claim
executive.
what the oil executives are saying. We should just believe them. What about
You gotta be
tobacco
kidding.
executives?
No,
Yeah.
I'm not. But the thing is like for me, I'm not going to presume to know more if I don't have facts to defend my position and say that they're wrong or that's not true, unless you actually have some proof of that. So it's just interesting how you're like,
The
no,
proof
they can totally do it. There
Okay.
is no red tape. There
It's
are no
logic.
regulations. It's like
I mean,
that's not
is
true.
there
Logic.
any way-
Okay.
There is definitely regulations on the oil and gas industry. There are for sure regulations. There was regulations this entire time. There was regulations when Donald Trump was in office and gas was $1.82.
Is it the same? Are you claiming that it's the same as when Trump was in
Yeah.
office, Kevin? Is
Can
that what
you
you're claiming?
explain- No, can you explain to
No,
me?
no, no. Tell me. Is it? No,
in
you
the
tell me. Is it the
regulations?
same?
Why
Is it
would
the
I-
same?
Why
Hold
would
on.
I have to tell
You're
you?
saying that there's always been regulations, even back when Trump. So is it the same then? Is that
Let
what
him
you're
answer.
claiming? that
Let
it's been
him
the same?
answer. Let him answer.
Mike,
you.
thank you. You can stop.
What is it the same? Now, I don't know if there is more regulation. or
Okay.
less regulation.
So then why
If
are you
there
so?
If
Stop
there
letting him
are new
answer.
regulations, can you please explain what new regulations there are that didn't exist in the Trump administration?
I can't.
I
I
don't
can't. All I
have-
know,
I don't-
all
Okay,
I
that's
can go
fine.
by is by what the oil executive saying that when Biden came into office, there were more regulations put on oil than ever before, and put a lot of red tape on them.
Not only
No.
that though, Renee, what we have to back up our position is the fact their intentions is Biden and his administration has made it very clear what their intentions are. They are trying to push us to go green. So to believe that that the oil industry is more regulated now seems to be more believable than for you to say that it's not and that it's the same as when Trump was in office, because he didn't want to go green. He wanted us to be energy independent.
You
So
guys
just
keep
by
talking-
being rational, taking in, rationale, I think that it makes more sense to believe the oil executives, being that Biden's administration's position has always been to go green and to shut
Well, it's
down
like
and
this.
to highly regulate the oil industry.
Let's just say, hold on. Let me put an example, right? Let's say we started going green, right? So these car companies start building tons of electric cars, right? And then next election comes and a president that doesn't like going green gets into power, right? And then he starts saying, you know what, we're going to just start pumping tons of oil, right? What do you think is going to happen to production of these electric cars? You think they're just going to keep producing electric cars like crazy? Or you think they're going to slow down?
Called supply and demand.
Exactly, right? You think that, so there's no demand for them
And
because
and-
the gas is hella cheap and probably could even be cheaper than electric. We're paying $1 for gas because we're completely dependent on oil. I mean, we're totally self-sufficient on oil. Do you think people are going to want to go buy electric cars? No,
Renee,
right?
if they don't wanna
$100,000
buy-
electric cars
Renee,
to top
if
it
they
off.
don't want to buy the electric cars, then Tesla won't sell them and they'll sit there. I don't know why you're so worried about people pushing
I'm trying to
electric
make a
cars
point, though.
and
I'm trying
there's
to make
not
a
any
point.
demand
Okay.
for
No,
it.
You're
I'm trying to
missing
make
the
a
point,
point.
Kevin.
Here's my point.
What is the point?
The point is
Listen.
that now you have a president that's saying he wants to stop oil, right?
No, he doesn't
And he
want to stop oil. That's
Yes,
not
he
true.
does.
That's not
He
true.
does.
That's
To be
not
fair,
true.
you keep
Yes,
That's
you
talking
haven't
about.
listened to those
absolutely not true.
clips. Chris, please
It's
pull
not
up a
true.
clip
Planet
about
are you
talking
guys
about it.
on? Oh my
You guys
God.
Chris,
keep talking.
please.
You guys keep
Pull up
talking.
a clip where Biden is saying he wants to get rid of oil.
You guys
Listen to
keep
him,
even-
listen to AOC, listen to Pelosi, listen to Kamala Harris. I mean, it's coming from the horse's
You guys-
mouth. I don't know what more proof
So
you
the
guys
oil
need.
executives are saying, look, we're not
You guys
going to
keep
invest
talking
billions of
about
dollars
Biden's intentions. All right, you
Hold
keep
on.
talking about Biden's intentions.
because I listened
And you
to the
point
guy.
to one thing that he's actually done, please.
Shut down the Keystone Pipeline, the
He-
extension of it. He shut
Yeah.
that down.
Yes.
So the oil industry did not get one extension of one pipeline, one thing. that they wanted.
Also shut down any new leases on federal land. He's
That's
also
not true.
Any
Not true.
new,
Not
any
true,
new
Sansu.
leases,
Not
any
true.
new leases. First of all, even if it is true, he's not giving any new leases. There's 9,000 open leases that are currently not being drilled. What do you have to say about that?
what's
they
being
don't want
said.
they don't want to invest in those because they're not
Who
sure
doesn't want to
about
invest in
No,
those?
no.
the
Who
oil
doesn't?
executives.
No,
Oil
the
executives.
oil,
Because-
right? They don't
yes.
want to invest in those. It's not about
Yes,
regulation.
because they're not
They don't
they
want
don't
to
feel
invest. That
secure
is
doing
correct.
that. They're not feel secure with who's in the administration right now
They
and
want
their
more
and their
security. You are
position
right.
on oil.
Kevin, hold on. Okay, so what I'm understanding from Renee, and what I understand myself is that they're not willing to invest in the drilling because the reality is they may lease the land to drill, but there is no guarantee that there is oil there. And so they're not willing
They are
to
in
invest.
the oil industry. That is the
Kevin,
game.
Kevin, oh my gosh, but what you're not understanding is not having the support from the federal government that if they do tap into it, are they going to shut anything down? Are they going to put more regulations on them? Is it
That's
going to affect their
That's
bottom line?
exactly it.
The
Yes.
oil
No.
industry is about bottom line. They're all in it for
Yes.
money. I mean,
That's what it
that's
is.
just
And
what
And
it
they're
is.
not
Okay.
able to operate without the support of the federal government. They've been making money hand over
No.
fist for 40 years. They
No,
can't
not when-
operate with a
not
For
little
when
bit of
100
this?
years.
No,
Right?
not when they're living day by day afraid of more regulations on them. That's going to
No.
affect their bottom line. That's the truth.
How,
That's what they're doing.
how about this,
Now,
Renee? How about
Can I
this?
say one more thing? Oh, go ahead.
Go
I'm sorry.
ahead. Go ahead. No,
No, I was
I-
going to say this. So another thing that was brought up by the oil executives is right now Congress is planning to bring them in. We're going to bring in the executives, see why they're being so greedy and see why they're gouging these prices and all that. There's oil executives is look, we're only a small percentage of gas stations are owned by actually big oil. Most of them are franchises to mom and pa's or owned by mom and pa people. And they're going by supply and demand, and they're going by what the next gas station is charging. So if anybody should be brought into court is the mom and pa stores, not the big oil things. We only sell the oil to them. They set the prices.
First of
So-
all, they are suing the mom and pop stores in Wisconsin for.
Okay, that's good. Then they're going to the right place. Another thing, why is California oil so high? Because there's so much taxes on oil in California. It's
Oh my
ridiculous.
gosh.
I think
that's
it's like
crazy.
$1.60 extra we pay on oil just on taxes. And why do we pay so much tax compared to other states?
I don't
Does
even
anybody know that?
I'd
Yeah,
like
I
to
do.
know.
I do. I do.
What is it, Mike?
Environmental reasons. Because of
Thank you.
environmental reasons.
Here we go again.
I love
Why
it.
is that funny? That's why it's for.
No, I'm
Yeah,
not
but
laughing at your answer. I'm
Yeah.
laughing at that. That's the sad truth,
you know,
not the
what's
fact that.
sad is that oil executives are saying, look, we're actually like the like most cleanest, safest, most environmentally uh friendly companies are here in the United States. What's
Renee,
funny is
why-
where we're going for our oil is like the dirtiest, most filthiest. They're pumping oil to ocean. They're destroying the planet, but then we're going to them begging for oil. It just makes no sense.
Makes no
It makes no
sense.
sense. And I agree with that. Well, how do you feel about that, Kevin?
I'm not actually 100% sure what you said. I think you
No,
said that
it
our
is.
our
Bro.
industry is cleaner than any of the other industries. And then I asked you
No,
why
no,
do
not industries, other oil.
oil
Like
industries.
like
I'm
in
sorry. Yeah, yeah.
China, they don't
Our,
care, dude. And you see how they
okay.
go on the
Why,
ocean,
wait,
they
hold
cut
on.
the shark's
I have a
fins
question.
and
Why is China's oil industry so dirty?
Lack of regulation.
yeah, there's no
Ah.
regulation.
Just like their
Ah,
food. I mean, the
let's-
way they process
go.
their food
Let's
is
go.
like they have their regulations.
They don't
Are you
care. The
saying that
government
they
doesn't care.
match
So
our
China,
the way that
China needs more regulation and we need less regulation. We need to
Yes.
meet in the middle. We need to get dirtier.
Yes,
clean.
yes, because it's a global problem, right? So if they
I
are a
do
little bit cleaner and we're a little bit like we were less stricter, then they're able to go full blast and make us
But
totally
Renee, but
independent
what
on oil.
Kevin said is that we need to go dirtier and they need to go cleaner. That's not the compromise. I think the
No.
That's
solution
right.
is for us to be energy independent and depend on our own oil so that we know where our sources are coming from and how they're being regulated and not depend on these other countries. And that will, I feel like, diminish their ability to provide and their actual, production. Like, I feel like that would be the answer, because then they're producing less because we don't depend on them. Perhaps we're then providing to other countries. So I feel like that would be the balance. We can't control other countries. At the end of the day, we can't control what they do, how they regulate.
Here's another thing that bothers me also, right? So we've become weaker. Let's be honest. Let's say the country has become weaker, and we really can't push back on China, right? Because China produces everything for us. Like we're no longer the manufacturing powerhouses we were. The industrial revolution, power, energy. We're no longer like that. So everything we get, even like bars of soap, dude. You read the bar of soap is made in China. I mean, probably everything in this room right here is probably
Can you give me
most of it
12
was
other
made in
products
China.
that are made in China?
Just product, yeah, just product. It's everything that we depend on as Americans, right?
Right.
So I mean, how do we push back on a country that produces everything for us? Right.
Can't.
So they're saying that they're gonna back up and bail out Russia. They're thinking about it, financially and all that. We're trying to cut Russia off, and they're gonna give them a lifeline. And it's like, as Americans, we can't really do anything about it because China produces everything, dude. I'm pretty sure that jacket that Sun Tzu's wearing was made in China. I'm just kidding.
I will find out for you. It's probably.
And you couldn't live without that.
Oh, it doesn't actually say here, so I don't know. But
No,
I
I
don't
mean,
doubt it.
No,
Oh,
anyway.
So you're saying-
Bangladesh is where it's
So you're-
made.
so you're
Everything that's
saying-
plastic at least is made in China, including
So
like
you're sa-
car parts.
So you're saying, Renee, we've hoarded ourselves to China, we've addicted ourselves to China,
no,
and-
yeah,
and
yeah.
and who's the fault for that? Is that Biden's fault too?
No.
Come on,
that's
Come
United-
on, Mike. Mike,
you
get out of
sure?
here with
No,
that crazy
listen.
comment.
No,
Well,
Mike.
okay.
I think
That's
I
ridiculous.
think our way of thinking has to change, right? We got it. We got to. We have to start thinking about America, right? We gotta start thinking about, like,
We're not producers anymore. We're
Yeah,
not
we're not.
producers anymore. Well,
We're not.
that's not going to change.
And it's not
It
one
can,
single
though.
president's
It
fault
can because
either.
right now is the time that it
Right.
can change, right? Because look what one country's doing right now, Russia, right? And look how it's affecting us, right? It's affecting us in different ways. We haven't seen it yet, but there's a lot of experts saying that the price of wheat is going up because most of our wheat we get from Russia, and with the price
we get it from Romania. We get it from
And then-
Romania.
and then a fertilizer, a lot of things that farmers need. All these things that are slowly gonna raise the prices of food in America
It has
of
gone
or
up because of
be-
the fuel,
no,
right?
yeah,
To
that
get
yeah,
it
but
here.
it's going to go up even more. They're saying it's going to be bad.
That's
So they're
crazy.
saying that we haven't even seen the effect that's happening with Russia right now. And not only that, just because Ukraine is where we get a lot of our wheat, Ukraine, and fertilizer. So that's where it's going to affect
Yeah.
us. Not Russia. I'm sorry, not Russia. It was Ukraine. And the war that Russia started in Ukraine is going to slowly affect us, right? So it starts to open people's eyes and say, look, we're so intertwined with the world, right? And that goes back to I think it was maybe the 60s or something, where they start talking about New World Order, one world government, where they wanted the world to work as one, right? Where everything is intertwined. You give us this, we give you that, sort of kind of like that. Instead of, we produce our food, we pump our oil, we make our cars, we do this, whatever it is. So I think right now people are starting to realize, hey, we got to start thinking more about ourselves and stop depending on everybody for everything, because things can get worse. If we don't stop Russia now, this could be a bad thing for the future of America. It could literally change our way of living.
Renee,
You know,
can I add something? So I found this online, and it was, where's the source? Bloomberg opinion. It says the most powerful country in the world is falling so fast that it makes you rethink what are the real reasons. Something so big and powerful can't be destroyed so quickly unless the enemy comes from within. And that to me speaks volumes about our administration. Just what direction they were trying to take us down. And it was polar opposite from from the previous administration. And because it's true, we are and we're a powerful country. And how quickly within this first year under the Biden administration have we crumbled and looked so weak. And
I think it was a buildup, It started with Afghanistan, the pulling out of Afghanistan.
Absolutely.
and
But
just
again,
showing
under
weakness.
Biden's administration, under his administration, and it just makes you wonder how it's so, are they that, they're obviously negligent, but is he that incapable of running a country that he can run us into the ground so quickly? And was that the intention? And if so, why? Because of his ties.
Look at the polls right now. Look at the polls right now. Even Democrats, there's a lot of Democrats that are very unhappy with this administration.
Mhm.
I think that it's going to be very bad for them come next election. I think
hope so.
that things are going to definitely take a swing.
And then you have Buttigieg, who's in charge of transportation, telling people, well, that's why we have our transportation, public transportation. People should start using public transportation. It's like, are you kidding me? You're telling Americans that the way to solve the problem for gas prices is to go jump on a freaking bus to get to where they need to go. I mean, it's ridiculous, you guys.
I can't drive all the way to San Jose every day on a bike.
Right.
That'd be rough.
And most people
I was going
commute.
to agree with Renee about 10 minutes ago that, we should definitely maybe try to start a little bit more manufacturing.
No, we should, because it's sad, dude. I mean, the good thing is now we're talking about that if we do get, let's just stop arguing, but let's talk as, maybe things we can agree on. The good thing, that kind of good thing is that if we do stop getting our stuff from China, we can always go to Taiwan, Vietnam. There's other places that are willing to produce parts for us. But then again, then now it's kind of threatening Russia. We could start.
Renee, the U.S. has a one China policy, meaning we only recognize one state in China.
What does that mean?
So Taiwan broke off from China, and as an agreement that the U.S. made with China during the commercialization, I guess, or whatever, through the U.S. trade talks. We as Americans don't acknowledge that Taiwan. We only recognize China as its own the country.
In fact,
Oh,
someone
got
got in
it.
trouble. A celebrity
Don-
got in trouble, right?
It
For
was it was
discerning the
Donald.
difference.
It was Donald Trump when he first got elected. He took a call from the Taiwan emperor or whatever, and he wasn't supposed to do that.
Well,
Yeah,
let's
so
talk
I
about
don't know.
the challenges. Even though we agree with what Renee's saying, the challenges if we did take our country in that direction where we're producing, let's say, certain things here in our country or depending on other countries. I mean, the reality is China is what makes sense for most countries because they come in cheaper than everywhere else,
Yeah,
right? And why are they cheaper? Because they
slave
pay
labor.
their workers less. Yeah, it's slave labor. So it's really going to be tough to make that transition because most people, like for instance, I know everyone's probably had a landscaper or a housekeeper come in their house, and what are we doing? We're paying them under the table, and we're paying them a fraction of what maybe we'd pay an American, right? Because some of them are undocumented people. And so to actually make that transition, to be willing to not only pay more and create that demand, like that's going to be tough for a lot of people. And most people are willing to cut corners that way, And so although it sounds great, and I hope that that's something that we can find a solution for, the reality is that would be a very tough transition for people, especially if we're paying the prices that we are right now for gas, for food,
what would be
and
what would
everything
be a
else.
tough transition?
To manufacture things here in the United States and pay what they're going to ask for, which is probably going to be double what we paid for China. China made
most
products.
most world economists say that the day of American manufacturing is gone. If we don't rely on China, it would maybe be there's Mexico and places in the Western Hemisphere, but it's just competitively.
Well, that's my thing though. That's my thing. Like, shouldn't we be doing that anyways with less communist, less dictator type governments? We shouldn't even be doing business with them. Yes, Mexico's corrupt and all that, but at least they're somewhat democratic.
Yeah,
somewhat.
Somewhat.
But it's true, because it's funny how we morally, we can throw our morals out the window knowing how the products that we buy, how they were manufactured, and the type of labor that was put into it and all of that. It's funny how we can turn a blind eye to that. You know what I mean? And I don't know, it's just funny that these Democrats, and I mean, not just Democrats, but just Americans in general, how they can virtue signal about human rights and all these other things, but turn a complete blind eye to what's going on in China, and then our dependency and how we're actually fueling that whole
we've
industry.
They're saying that China is like the second most powerful country, right? So we're number one, and then China. And honestly, who made them? Who put them in that position to be in the position that they're in? It's the United States, right? Because we've completely put all our, what is it? They're like whatever in a bucket.
All our eggs in a bucket.
Whatever it is. We've completely put everything.
Well, do you guys want to talk about kind of like how China became the manufacturing powerhouse that it is?
Do you have any insight on that?
I mean, from what I understand, it was like Richard Nixon that kind of opened it up to the West, and it was him and some of, I guess, Kissinger, and they said one way to defeat communism was kind of opening up Chinese communism to capitalism, and the idea essentially was like infiltrate with McDonald's and get them too greedy to allow communism to thrive, I believe was the theory behind it.
But how did that turn out?
I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that before, but that's interesting.
How did that turn out? Because they're still communists, right? And they're even more powerful than ever.
Going strong.
Right. I mean, most people do agree that the strategies that were implemented starting in the 70s to try to undermine the CCP with American business endeavors didn't work. They ended up, in fact.
How do you feel about all this, Mike?
I just read an article that the coal, oil, and natural gas industry received $5.9 trillion in subsidies from our government in 2020,
Really?
from the American government, the United States government.
Who did?
So the coal, oil, and natural gas, American coal, oil, and natural gas industries received $5.9 trillion in subsidies in
Oh, yeah.
2020 from our government.
Yeah, those poor oil industries, you know, they're treated so harshly in America.
So while you both have tried to paint a picture that as soon as Biden has come in, that capitalism has died, and that
That's not.
we don't let me finish my point. Okay. I listened for a long time.
I love your extreme statements. It's always like super
Did I-
extreme.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
I-
Capitalism has died. That's what we said,
Yeah.
Renee. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, that Biden came in and put all these restrictions on the oil industry so that they couldn't pump oil anymore, which clearly just flat out is just not true.
That's not what
Okay.
we said, but go ahead. Uh-huh.
That's exactly what you said. You said
No, it's
Biden
not.
came in and
No, put a lot of red tape on oil.
okay, a lot of red tape on this oil. Okay.
Yeah.
And again,
And
What-
and
what
it's
happened?
going
Right,
it's going
what
towards
happened?
green, so they're afraid
okay,
to
what
just pump all
happened?
this money into it.
What happened was, as we've talked about before, and I please encourage you to look this up. Okay.
Okay.
COVID caused a lot of problems. Okay. The demand for oil went down dramatically. Okay. That's why oil production went down, not because of anything Trump did or Biden did. This happened in Trump's term. Okay. The production of oil went down because there simply
Okay.
wasn't a consumption worldwide. Fair enough.
Fair
Okay.
enough. Go ahead.
And it takes time for that, like you guys both said, it takes time for that to go back up again. Okay.
Okay.
And it
Okay.
started to go back up again. It started to go back up in Trump's last year. And while Biden made a lot of noise about green, he's gotten a lot of criticism from his own party because he's not going anywhere near as green as they would like him to go. He's taking the middle road. Okay. If you look carefully, you'll see he's actually opened up a lot of federal leases for people to drill. And the reason he's doing that is self-preservation, hypocrisy. Is he an environmentalist right now? No, he's a survivalist right now. He wants the companies to drill oil to get the price of gasoline to come down, to get the inflation rate to come down. That's what's going on in the world.
Well,
Let me finish.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
He went to the Texas oil company bosses and said, could you guys please start drilling? And they said, no, we'll kind of do it on our timeline. And the reason they don't want to just shoot the wells going full blast is they don't want to create another surplus, because a surplus means they lose money. So now that the price of oil is at $95 to $100 a barrel, I suspect you're going to see American companies are going to start producing oil at a pretty high rate. And I don't think anything's going to, no government industry, no government regulations are going to stand in the way. Now, if you guys are so certain, let's make a bet. I'll make
Question
you a bet.
for you. I have a question for you, Mike, based
Sure,
on
go
what you
ahead.
said.
Go ahead.
So you said that Biden has gone back to these oil execs and has opened up more drilling. When did this happen?
Asked to. He asked
When did this happen?
about a month ago.
And where did you-
the price? It's in it. I don't have the
Well,
article, but I
the
read it.
reason why I'm asking is because it's interesting that when Jen Psaki, who is a direct representative of President Biden, that she wouldn't mention that in her press briefings, because her whole narrative is to blame Putin and the oil execs for being greedy. So it's interesting that she didn't comment that specific, because that kind of would change some people's mindset as far as.
Saying the executives are greedy is touching on what.
No, but Kevin, touching is, listen, to actually say that President Biden has gone to these oil execs and has requested that they drill, that is a pretty big step for most Americans to hear that and to know that that actually happened. But being that was not said at the podium, that's interesting that you're saying that, because I'd like to find out where
that
that
it was
was
not
said.
said at the podium. That's you're just
I
Yeah.
watch Kevin.
You know-
I'm not claiming anything. I watch her every single day. Unlike you, I actually listen to her every day. So I do try and keep up with everything that's going on. So for someone who doesn't even listen to those press briefings, it's interesting that you want to question me.
And
I do watch it
you're
every
saying
day.
that Jen Psaki has not said anything about oil production in the last week, 2 weeks? What are you saying there?
She has not said exactly what Mike is saying, that President Biden has gone to the oil execs and has requested that they drill more.
That's
She
not
has
how
not
it
said
works.
that.
It is not. The president is not supposed to request to oil executives
Oh
to
my gosh.
drill. That's their job. Their job is to drill the oil.
That's not the point. That's not the point. The point is that the administration is blaming and creating this narrative that they're trying to push rather than actually state actual facts that are happening according to Mike, which is information that I would like to know. And I have not read anything about that, and I haven't heard it come from her mouth. So that's why I'm questioning it, because I do listen to her and I believe things and I question things that she says, and I'll go back and look it up. But this whole, it's Putin's, it's his fault for our gas prices.
No, you know
No,
what's funny?
no.
No, they were saying that. They were
Putin's fault. It's not.
no, but they
Putin's
were
fault.
saying
Yeah.
that. They were saying that. No, but you know what's crazy is there's a video on YouTube. Well, who's the speaker? I mean, not the speaker, the leader of the Democrats, Schumer, right?
Yeah,
Is that
Schumer.
it? Okay, Schumer. Yeah, there was when Trump was in office and gas was like, I don't know, $3 or whatever it was, $2.89. I think it was
Yeah, it's like
on the
$2.80.
sign. He was standing in front of the sign, and gas was like at $2.89, and he was out there and he was like shitting on Trump, right? Saying all this stuff that Trump can do to bring oil down, and a lot of the stuff he was saying was like stuff that, like, you know, yeah, Trump needs to do this and he's responsible for oil prices. And I wish Chris was here to bring up these clips, but there was like a whole press conference in front of a gas station where he's just shitting on Trump. And it's funny how now in hindsight, right? What's going on in Biden, like, why isn't he doing all those things that Schumer is pointing out? You know?
Oh no, they're totally like praising him. Like, according to the left, he's done all these great things. It's so funny how they twist and.
I just thought it was funny. Like, I was like, whoa,
Renee,
what a trip.
Renee, I have a question. Do you feel like that the Democratic Party has an incentive to keep gas prices under control coming into the midterms? Do you feel like that they feel like if
No, I think there's a fire under their ass now because their jobs are, you know, on the line right now. Their jobs are on, there it is right there. That's the one. Anyways, their jobs are on the line right now. So they're even the most greenest people that are very going, even look at Tesla, right? He put out a statement, I think it was last week. He said, look, I'm the electric guy, dude. I make electric cars and I'm begging the government to pump more oil. I mean, that's how
the government
bad
doesn't pump oil.
I mean, not, oh, I'm sorry. I'm begging for America to open up or cut down these regulations, America to start just pumping oil, because it's bad. It's getting really bad. Even when the guy that makes electric cars is telling, you know, the administration they need to really, you know, let these oil companies go full blast. You know, it's like, that's kind of funny, bro.
From what I understand, these oil companies
market.
9,000 leases that they are not.
No, I just wish if there's any way, Chris, so you could pull up oil executives on Fox News, where, you know, the executives from Mobil and Exxon, they're actually there. They're saying, look, guys, it's not that easy, right? We can't just, you know, we have an administration that's very not friendly with oil, and you want us to just go all out not knowing what the future holds for us. I mean, tomorrow they may change their mind and say, you know what?
You keep bouncing back.
Renee, government doesn't control private industry.
No, what they do though is they put the regulations that's keeping them. They don't know if they're
Wait,
gonna.
hold on. This is funny too. That Mike goes, government doesn't control private industry. Do you believe that when it comes to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, when they blatantly said that they're in communication with them with what to censor, when to all of that. So,
That
but
was
they
the
don't
argument that was
control
made.
private industry, right, Mike? But
That
they've
was the same
obviously
argument
done
that we
stuff like
made
that.
a few weeks ago. He was consistent. He said that Twitter doesn't have to listen to the president. He could make a suggestion, but they're still a private company.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
They
Though.
make up their own decisions.
Yeah,
They're
but see,
accountable to their shareholders.
You guys
no,
act
no.
like
No,
we
here's
live in
the
a
thing,
communist society or something. The
no,
way you're
here's the
talking.
thing, though. The
The
government can make it really tough, and for these companies, though. That's the thing.
They
They're
can.
afraid. They could do a lot of things, right? To make things rough for them. So they're bowing down, dude. They're actually having meetings with these social companies, right? I'm sorry, social media companies, the weekly meetings,
Before
telling
we
them
get
what
social media, as a matter of
considered.
fact, right? Knowing the administration, Biden had a meeting with all these TikTok stars. I just saw this the other day. TikTok stars, because they have tons of followers, right? Some of these have like 20 million, 30 million followers, right? So he had a private meeting with hand-selected TikTok personalities, and told them like what direction they should be spreading like information to their viewers, saying about, I forget what it was about. Oh, about oil. That's what it was about. It was about oil, right? And blaming it on Putin. So and they were actually showing clips on TikTok, because a lot of people go to TikTok to get their news, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So that these young teenagers pretty much are saying, it's not the president's fault that oil's going up. This is Putin's fault. Like, they're actually those talking points from the White House. And it turns out that, the White House had like 30 of these TikTok stars come into the White House, sit down with the president, and go over why it's Putin's fault that oil's going up.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
it's
and
not a
back to-
secret that the White House uses social media to advance its ideas. I mean, all administrations attempt to use social media. I mean, Donald Trump was the king of Twitter.
But you're talking about.
He did not control Twitter, though, Kevin. He was
No.
freaking axed out of it. Like, that is
That's
not
hold
a
on.
direct
That's not what
comparison
Renee was
at all.
That's not what Renee was talking about.
No, hold on.
You're saying that
he was talking about Jen Psaki disseminating talking points on TikTok. He wasn't talking about censorship.
Yeah, no,
Well,
no.
the
I know where you're going with that, Kevin. But my point is, right, that the White House is using, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok to
Right.
get the points across, right?
Like
Which
all
is
administrations do.
Which is fine.
No,
right?
not
Right.
like all administrations. I don't believe that. But what about, Renee, just to talk about the control that the government has over these social media platforms and even just media in general? What about the Hunter Biden laptop issue?
Oh yeah,
They shut that all down. And you're going to sit here and tell me that didn't come directly from the administration to shut any news about it through social media, through the streamlined media, like nothing. Everyone has shut it down.
Well,
and even now that it's come out that it was a valid, that it was what the laptop was validated.
What administration?
I have
The
no
Biden
idea.
administration.
Well, Trump was in charge during that when it came out. It came out before the election.
Yeah.
Right. But
and it was being
during,
talked about. And then as soon as Biden came and talked to it, all of a sudden was thrown in the trash.
But
Trump was the president then.
completely
As
thrown
a
in the
matter of
trash.
fact,
Trump was the president then. So Trump
Why didn't
controlled
it come
that, you're
right
saying?
out? Yeah, why didn't it come right out?
Because the whole media was against Trump, so they wanted Biden to win. That's why they completely
now-
shut it
So
down.
the
Now they're
president
questioning-
wasn't
now they're
able to
questioning
control
if-
the media.
Please don't
if
forget. Please don't forget the talking over each other, like no
Oh,
one can
guys.
understand you over
Oh,
here.
you're there, Chris? Wow. I've been begging for your help for like the
That
last
was
5
odd.
minutes.
Please, if you've been looking at your screen, all the things you asked for has been put up on
Okay, I'm
shared
sorry.
screen.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Hey guys, no. Here's the thing though. Now there's actual people that, I don't know what you call them, but people like that kind of follow elections and all that, and experts, whatever they want to call themselves, saying what the impact would have been if that information was actually allowed to come out. you know, what during the election, they're saying that it's probably a possibility Biden would have never been elected because
Okay.
of that. Because
They
now
said
they're
1 in
talking
6
about
people would have
now
never
they're
voted for
talking
him.
about that it may go even deeper, and now the White House is trying to stop that because they might even go all the way back to some involvement with Biden himself with all
So
these
what if-
Yeah,
dealings
we-
The
that-
big
What
man,
are-
the
what-
big
we break
man.
1
Yeah,
second.
the bill.
We-
I'm sorry.
Wait,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Can we break? Okay, so we just transitioned to a totally different topic. Piggyback on the control that the administration has over social media. So to let
Okay.
the audience know, we have switched topics. Can we are we going to put the oil
Yeah.
to rest?
Yes.
So as we
We
switch
we
over,
kind of met halfway, right? I mean,
did we?
Mike did put us some points about Biden. Now I'm starting to wonder if the oil industry is just doing it purposely. Honestly, because they just say, "No, fuck this guy." He's
Well, I
so
think-
against us that we're not gonna do what he says, man. That's what they want. They want to go green. So hey, let them shit themselves.
I think you guys are taking the notion of going green a little quicker than it's going to be. It's going to take a long time before we
No,
get to
well,
that
tell
point.
that to the energy secretary because she just came. She just
Well,
had a
I know.
You guys
wanted
need
to go full blast
I-
on it.
But it's going to take time. I mean, it's going to take at least 20 to 30 years to
And
transition
I agree
into.
with you. I agree with you,
Okay.
Mike. I agree
Okay,
with you.
so
But let me tell you this: AOC, that other girl, the girl from Africa, that girl,
Talib,
whatever her
not
name
Talib,
is,
Yeah.
they're dead set on it. They want
Okay.
to happen within 5 years.
but they're
That's
not.
all.
But they're not.
on their own. They're two Congress people.
Yeah, they're not. They're
4 of
not
them.
controlling. Clearly, what should be letting you see something here, Renee, is they're not running the Democratic Party. That's not
Exactly.
the centrist agenda.
And
No,
with-
no,
Let
no.
me-
Here's what let me say one thing. One thing is this: we can both agree on this. I'm all for it taking 20, 30, 40 years to get to green. But let's not stop shitting on big oil then. Let's slowly transition.
Who is
Let's
shitting on big oil?
Nobody's
no,
shitting on big
is
oil.
the
dude.
most
Look, like I
protected
said, dude,
industry.
like
Nobody is
Entire
shitting on big
country.
like I
oil.
said, when Biden was running for president, and even at the beginning of his term, there's plenty of videos out there of him shitting on big oil. Said he's even willing to put him in jail. Oil
I
executives
think
in
you
jail.
guys need to make some distinctions about things and promises that are made on the campaign trail and actual policy that is enacted. I'm hearing every single time it's about the uncertainty because of these claims made on the campaign trail, but we never translate it into actual actions that were taken and what effects that has on gas and oil prices.
Well, it's like
Renee,
when you're constantly shitting on somebody, right? And then all of a sudden you need their help, right? And all of a sudden you need their help. You're gonna say, screw this guy, dude. He put himself in that position.
But Renee,
Then-
don't you find it funny how when Trump was in office, he was the all powerful, even you felt guilty to anything he said. If anything happened that even came close to something he even said, any talking point, he did it. He's to blame. He's in charge. He's the dictator. I mean, he's all controlling, all powerful. Am I right or wrong with that? Everyone thought Trump was all powerful. So anything like that Biden has said, if it were Trump, everyone would have just been crapping on President Trump and saying it's his fault. And it's funny how now a different president in office, but just because he said it, during the election trail, or just because he said it even as in the presidential office, doesn't mean that he's actually, well, you know what? A lot of it, we have seen things that have happened, Kevin, that we've already stated, and maybe it's not enough for you, but the fact that his intention is to go in that direction, that to me says that as an American, as a normal American, tells me, okay, what is the president doing that's causing this? Because we're suffering. We're paying way too much in gas prices. We're paying way too much for our food. I mean, and here you hear a president claim things that he wants to do from the podium. So what does that tell you? What does that tell Americans? That he's responsible for it? I mean, that's just kind of the normal, put 1 and 1 together equals 2. So, I mean, not everyone has the ability to go and research everything. Let me just see if he actually we did this, let me find the proof and the documents that are going to back this up. If he's saying it, people buy into it, right? Whether it's something that we want to hear or that we don't want to hear. So to me, that's the bottom line. We are dealing with normal Americans that listen into our show. And if they're hearing these things from the podium, whether it's Jen Psaki or President Biden saying this, then we're going to believe it, because aren't we supposed to trust the president to a certain degree? I mean, we know where he's a politician, but to a certain degree, we're going to trust that what he's saying he's going to do, right? I mean, that's why we vote for people, because we trust that they're going to follow through with what they promise. I mean, we saw it with President Trump. He actually came through on a lot of his promises. So,
well, Jared Kushner going to solve the Middle East in 30 days or build the wall?
Oh my God.
Wait,
You know how much money we're
I missed that. I'm
paying?
sorry.
You know how much we're paying a day to not build the wall? I think it's in the millions, dude. We're still
Bro.
paying all these companies that were
It's
supposed to be
fine.
building.
It's fine. That's on Mexico's credit card, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Funny how we don't hear about that though anymore. We don't hear much about the illegal immigration going on right now. I mean, it's
Yeah.
completely, I mean, yeah, we have to worry about Ukraine, but I mean,
We're going off topic. Okay, let's go back to the Ukraine. Right.
Oh, sure.
So okay, let's go back to the Biden laptop, right? So I
Biden?
guess what's it, Hunter, right?
Yes.
Hunter Biden.
Yeah, so now they're saying that
Hold on, just to be clear, we are officially done with the oil talk.
We are done. We're
We were like-
vacating.
There was like one moment where he's like, "Hey, Mike, I mean, we met in the middle." And Mike goes, "Well, Renee done," and then all of a sudden, it went,
Overwhelmed. Overwhelmed.
No, I think we both had some valid points, though. I mean,
Okay, so
somewhere in the middle, there's an answer. We just don't know what the
okay, so
answer is.
let's
But the government does subsidize oil, gas
yeah.
industries, and you guys are acting
Yeah.
like the government
Yeah.
doesn't do anything to help.
The American.
And we've been doing that for a long time, and I'm still having a hard time believing that the oil companies are in danger or in peril of. I mean, they're going to have monster profits in the
Yeah.
next 5 years. Monster profits.
the
But you guys
American-
are acting like they're about to roll over or something. I'm sorry, I don't buy it.
The
I
American.
just wish.
Oh,
I had
can we let
more
Kevin say? I mean, poor
information.
Kev's been trying to say the
Go
Americans.
ahead, Kevin. Go ahead.
Sorry,
the,
Kevin.
the American oil industry is one of the most protected industries in the entire world. There's not very many companies that get more government support than these companies that you're crying are being,
No.
some sort of
No,
way.
you're right.
The
you're
mortgage
right.
industry.
But since the Biden administration, you
That's actually
cannot
legit.
you cannot deny that they've been going a different direction with that. They've been trying to,
Well,
cut oil.
they're
and go
intending
electric,
to go. They're intending to go in a different direction. Apparently,
Yeah.
that's all that matters. They don't
Yeah.
actually have to make any policies whatsoever.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think they would like to go greener than they can right now. But I think the
Yeah.
reality is the pocketbook of Americans is more important than the environment right now. Bottom line,
Well, it
I think
is,
that's what
it
you're
is.
going to see.
And it is. And you know what? I think the Biden administration is slowly starting to realize that. And I think that they're kind of turning their backs towards these green people, like the AOCs and all that.
And they're
'Cause
going to
even-
he's going to get criticized for that too. And that's the way it
Because
goes.
even
That's the way it goes.
because even some Democrats are agreeing with Republicans about oil. Like, hey, we need to cut these. We need to take off a lot of the red tape. This is Democrats talking. I've seen it where Democrat
I agree.
there's Democrats in office are saying, hey, we have to open up. We got to let these oil companies, cut off some of these regulations, cut off some of this red tape, and let them go at it, because this is really affecting Americans, and it can really affect us being in office. They don't want to lose their position in office.
Well, even if we cut all the regulations, it's still going to be uncertain, and they're still really not going to know what to do. They're going to need the federal government to hold their hand. But I mean, we are such a leftist podcast, and we haven't even gotten talking about nationalizing the oil. I guess we can move on to Ukraine. Now. I don't want to get bogged down in nationalizing the oil.
So I could honestly say that Kevin, Mike, and Renee all said yes. They did agree with something, and that slowly but surely we're gonna, we're gonna pay more attention to our pockets than the environment. Sun Tzu, do you agree with that as well?
Do I agree with what? Say that again.
Both Mike, Renee, and Kevin, they agreed that we're gonna pay more attention to our pockets than the environment. Is that safe to say, Mike, Kevin, that you guys agree with
Oh,
that?
I think
I
when you-
see that. I've seen that's I think the newest development that I have heard that and seen that. But it took all of this to see that change. It's interesting. But yeah, I do agree with that.
Then we have accomplished a major feat. We all feel comfortable. So
I know. Well, we all hope that we stop. We all hope that slowly we transition to going green, slowly, but in the meanwhile, we have to continue to use oil and pump and do all that because it
Yes.
does affect our pocketbook, and then that's the reality. And yes, we can all dream about a green Earth and less pollution and,
Yes.
and all this stuff, but
It's a
reality is
world
reality.
participation
But-
thing, not just one
and
country.
when-
I have a
and when-
question. I have a
But if-
question for you guys.
But if
What-
Exxon's profits are really at stake, I feel like we should really throw that whole pie in the sky environment thing out of the window here. I'm like,
What's going to replace oil profits?
batteries that we're gonna get from China and Russia. I could
No,
grab all
like
the-
seriously, like if that's a big source of income for our country, like what's the solution of what's going to replace that? Like what? I don't understand.
I wish we could go to another subject. Hold on.
like,
I
why
know-
do
Well,
we
hold on,
worry
Renee.
about the Rockefellers' fortune? I don't understand here.
Okay, Kevin.
Renewable, to answer your questions, renewable energy sources, Sun Tzu. And,
Yeah.
and it's going to be more than just batteries. It's going to be trying to produce fusion instead of fission. And fusion does not, which is, a form of nuclear energy that does not give off the tremendous amount of nuclear waste that fission gives off. So they're working hard to try to make fusion work. There's going to be but renewable energy sources just simply make sense, but it's going to have to, we've always thought that necessity is the mother of invention. So that's the idea. We need, renewable sources. Hopefully the inventions will keep up with that.
Mike,
Hey, I got a
what's-
question.
Hold
I
on,
got a
real quick,
question for you.
brother. Hold on,
Okay.
Mike. What's your timeline on that? Out of
It's
pure
hard.
curiosity, you don't know.
Fusion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
I don't.
general,
I just
what's
know
your-
that. I know just recently they did an experiment with fusion and they produced X amount of energy, but it was a very small test. But it was, they thought it was very significant in terms of moving forward with being able to come up with a non-pollutable form of energy.
Kevin.
So
Yeah,
you I'm sorry. Go ahead. You're going to take it. Sorry.
I'm pretty sure cold fusion was like an idea in The Saint, a Christian Slater movie in like the 1990s. I think the idea of fusion being kind of perfected, and that's way further out than like solar and wind, as far as I understand.
Hey, how do you guys feel about well, never mind. That's another subject for another time because it goes deep.
So
So it goes back to oil, basically, how the US dollar,
go for it.
okay, so
trading
we
in
all-
dollars.
we all know the history of money, right? So money was pretty much a note saying that there was money, you had gold in the bank, and that note represented the amount of gold that you had in the bank, and so that's why the dollar was basically a note saying there was gold. So little by little that went away. So the U.S. had to find something else to back up the dollar. So it was oil, the petrodollar. And some people argue that the reason Saddam Hussein and Gaddafi were put out was because they threatened the petrodollar. They were willing to go back to buying oil with gold, countries like Russia and China and all that. And the US didn't like that because the US dollar was the all powerful and if the dollar goes out, the U.S. crumbles. So so they had to take them out and all this stuff. This is a whole, I don't know if it's a conspiracy, it's fact.
That is accurate. That there
Yeah.
was a financial plan to kind of lump the countries in Africa together. It was Gaddafi's the third way, and they wanted their own monetary system, and it did
Yeah.
threaten
So now
petrodollar.
China, India, and Russia are talking about their. This is before the war and all that, but now they're threatening to stop using the dollar, and they were talking about going back to gold or even using yen or I don't know some other crap, and that threatens the dollar. Do you think that has anything to do with what's going on? Also, like the U.S. feels threatened about the because if the dollar goes, we're no longer the powerhouse that we are. The
Yeah.
dollar's what the dollar's is. I mean, we basically run the U.S. Treasury. The Treasury prints out money, and that's how the world runs, dude. And there's really nothing backing up that money. I mean, just paper.
Renee,
That's weird.
What makes us powerful is our consumption. We
Yeah,
consume more than any. What do you mean? Yeah, but so China's going to change and say, "Oh, we don't want the United States anymore." Who's going to buy all their stuff?
No,
No. I'm just talking about the
No.
dollar.
Yeah, the dollar.
dollar loses
I read-
its value.
Renee, I read an article.
China,
I heard that. I
if
heard that
Russia,
too.
China,
Hold on, guys.
India, they start
Hold on, guys.
saying
Kevin,
we're no longer
can
taking
you go
dollar.
in? Sorry,
You guys
Renee.
need to pay in gold.
Kevin actually has some info on this. That's really good. Go for it, Kev. Sorry, man. Kevin's good on it.
The article that I understood, Saudi Arabia said that they would accept Chinese yen for their oil, or they were floating that idea,
Yes.
and that was being reported in the last couple of weeks. I think this idea of the petrodollar. It's really just an agreement made by a lot of the countries, but if giant oil producers do agree to take a currency other than the US dollar, that's where this would kind of go from. So I don't think it's China is really pushing it. I think Saudi Arabia said that they would be willing to possibly forego that agreement.
I heard the same. That's what I heard
Yeah,
too.
so that's like I'm not an expert in any of this, but it's just something that's been running through my mind because like Michael say, yeah, it's our consumption, right? Yeah, but if who we're getting our product from, which is like China, India, Russia, all these big countries, if they stop accepting the dollar
Right.
and want,
They would
change
screw
to-
themselves. They would screw themselves.
but it would screw us even
It
more.
would screw us.
It would screw us even more. You know?
Right.
Well,
So that's
well,
that's what I talk. That's what I'm talking about. A threat of our way of living. You know what I'm saying? So I think that we need to really stand up for ourselves, especially right now in these times, because they're talking about that the U.S. may not be the leader of the world in the next 5, 6 years, 10 years.
Did
Because
anyone?
of the moves that China and Russia and and India. I mean, India's huge, and it's got probably more people in the most people in the world is India, right?
Yeah, I think they're
Uh,
probably.
Both
Yeah.
1.5 billion, China and Russia, or China and
Yeah.
India.
So
And-
they start working together, India, Russia, China, that could really affect us.
Go ahead, Mike.
it's about money, guys. It's about
Yeah,
money.
but what?
It's about,
That's my point, though. What is money? Money's paper.
but
There's
Renee,
no
if-
value
if-
really in the dollar.
Okay. So let's just play this scenario out. Okay,
Okay.
they completely devalued the American dollar. All
Mhm.
right. What percentage of the Chinese economy is dependent on America?
Yeah, I mean, we are mutually.
What- Yeah. So you're
Well,
gonna cut your. So while China does this, you're gonna cut 40% of their country. Their wealth is just gone in an instant.
Well, this is kind
Yeah,
of what,
China. But here's the thing, though. China cares about, right? Because from what I understand, like over 80% of Chinese are starving. They're jacked. They're not living great in China.
I don't know if it's 80%.
Well, a lot. There's a
poverty.
huge percent of poverty in China because they get whatever rations the government gives them. They're communists, right? So they're totally dependent on the government. It's not like they're an economy that's like us, right?
They
what's the high-
make money on their own. They farm, they do their own stuff.
They
They have
private
cities, they have corporations.
Well,
They
it's
have
like
businesses.
Mexico, right? I don't know if you know how Mexico works, but like it was hard for me to understand, like, okay, well, because when I went to Mexico, right, not too long ago, I saw people that had taxis, I saw street vendors, I saw all that, and I go, well, what? I mean, they got their own businesses. Why are they still poor? Right? They got to
Cartel.
be making money.
They're
Well,
not.
they're not. Here's the thing.
No.
The government almost 75% of their money. Like this lady was saying that for her to have a little stand where she
Mexico?
makes food or whatever. Yeah, Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so here's an example, right? Let's say in Mexico there's a lady that has like a stand, right? And she's making tacos and all that. And let's say that in a month she makes let's say she makes $2,000 a month, right? Selling tacos. About 1,500 of that money is all goes back to the government. So she's left with like $500.
So you're
Let's just
saying
say-
Mexico
that's-
has 75% tax rate, or
Yes, the taxes are huge.
Well,
Okay.
and not only that, Renee, that they don't pay them enough. Like I have family out there that would actually cross the border and work in United
Yeah.
States so that they can make enough money to live in Mexico, and they do that commute because they pay them cents on the dollar. Like they pay them
Yeah,
nothing
so
there. It's
I imagine
ridiculous.
I imagine that's the way it is in China, right? I'm sure people have
I would
business and all that, but
imagine
I'm
so.
sure the government takes all their money. Like they're
Do you-
not rich. They can't ever. People come to America. This is the only country where you could start something and make it big. And
Sun
this is the only country that does that, because all other countries you could start something, but you're always going to be kept down by the government.
Sun Tzu, do you believe that Mexico should have a minimum wage?
I don't know if they do or don't, but I know
No,
that.
I'm asking you if you think they should.
Do I believe if they should? I don't know. I
Even if they
don't
had a
know what
minimum
would be
wage.
best.
I don't know any of, you were saying that they're paid so low and there's not really any other mechanism that the government can use to force companies to pay.
I'm not
higher
saying
than the
government's
market.
corrupt.
But the thing
It's a
is
corrupt
even
government.
let's just say they do have a minimum wage. If that is what they're paying people, it's like making minimum wage out here. You're under the poverty line if you're making minimum wage. So out there, because it's really strange, because when you shop in Mexico, which I've gone before and done shopping, I don't see much of a difference in price than I do
No.
here in the United States.
Yeah.
And yet they make way less. Like I believe one of my
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
So me and my wife actually were in Mexico. We're shopping for a purse, right? And the guy wanted like $50 for the purse or something. And I told him, dude, like, are you kidding me, dude? Like, I'm in Mexico, dude.
I
Like,
haggled
I'm supposed to get here shit cheap here, right? That's why I came
No,
to Mexico.
not
And the guy's
anymore.
all, look, he's all, you know, this little shop here. He's all, the government, dude. Just for him to have that little shop, it's not like everything's owned by the government, pretty much, you know. And this little shop here,
Mexico's
he has
communist
to
too.
charge. He has to charge all that money just so he could feed his family.
Yeah, that's
Kevin,
75%
Kevin,
taxes.
they're
We're gonna
not
beat
not
up and-
communists, but the government is definitely corrupt, and that's a known fact.
yeah.
They have been corrupt forever. So I don't
Yeah,
know
what
point you're trying to
dude,
make
you
with
know,
that.
and what's funny is that Mexico has some of the richest people in the world, but they're all like
Carlos Slim,
families that-
like the
yeah,
number
they're
one
all
guy
from fam.
on
They
the
were
side.
born rich. So if you're born rich in Mexico, you could get rich. But if you're born a nothing, you'll never be a nothing, dude. And what's
Mexico
sad
has
about
a,
Mexico?
go ahead.
No,
No,
and
Mexico
what's
has
fun-
Mexico has a very, very small upper class, a
yes,
very small middle class, and a very large lower class.
yes. And what's
Anytime,
funny about
and as does China, as does India, as
There we
do
go.
all poor countries. A
Yeah.
country to have equity needs a larger middle class than any other class. That's the ideal. You want to
Yeah,
have
but
a sizable, whatever your size of your upper class, the largest is your middle class, and then you want the lower class to be as small as you can be, and that's the ideal. But that in
Yeah.
Mexico, it's just the opposite.
yeah, you know, but my point is that if you're born into a poor family in Mexico, you will always be poor, no matter how hard you work, no matter, unless you come to a country like America where you could be a nobody and become a somebody. Because in
Well,
Mexico, it goes to what you were born. If you're born poor, you're gonna be poor all your life.
It's way
No doubt.
harder to save money with $6 gas prices.
You know, Mexico is paying just as much as we are for gas. That's what's
That's
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, when I was
that's
up there,
crazy.
It
Well,
goes by the
gosh.
liter, right? And I was telling the guy, oh shoot, like I go, dude, you guys. He goes, yeah, we pay the same as you guys pay for gas.
The
And
reason,
Unbelievable.
and we're Mexico actually produces a lot of oil.
the
You know, it's
reason,
just crazy.
the
Yeah,
reason is
we
all
get
the,
oil from Mexico. Go ahead.
The-
Sorry, Kevin.
the reason is all the protectionism policies from the government for the American oil companies. That's kind of like the evidence that, because it's like we're saying that the oil industry is very pampered in America. You're saying that it's overregulated. And when you look at the difference in price of American oil or American gas versus the rest of the world, you can see the evidence that there is actually a lot of protectionism coming from the American government rather than overregulation.
What do you mean protectionism?
I don't
Because
get it.
I thought I heard that in all the other countries they're paying a lot less for gas than we
They
are,
are.
and we're the
No,
ones that
that's
are
completely, that's
No,
completely-
not in Europe. Not in Europe. Europe's the other way around. Since Europe pays. Remember, well, you didn't hear the program last week. Anderson
because-
talked about the price of gasoline in Denmark and Sweden and Germany. It's
No, that's
it's
because- that's because
$8
they're-
a gallon.
That's because they're 100% dependent on other countries like Russia and stuff like that. And
Well-
we're not
Right.
so we don't have all our eggs in just one basket. We have
Okay.
Canada supplies a lot of our oil,
Yeah.
Mexico, you know, different places. But they're
Gotta
just
say
they-
outro.
Is Canada's are they paying a lot for gas as well?
no, Canada don't pay a lot. I don't think.
I
Well, we
saw-
refine
question.
their oil. They have crude oil, right? So we refine it. So I don't know. Maybe they are because they
I saw a article saying something about Washington State where a lot of people were going to Canada to get gas for some reason. I don't know
okay.
if that's accurate or not, but I did see
Probably.
that.
All right.
I thought I'd heard it
is
was
All right.
significantly
Are we
less.
done,
but-
guys?
Yeah, we're any last words before we end the show?
I
think we
just wanted to
should, I think we should just stay with us four from now on. Get rid of Chris, and because this was great,
There's a lot of
right, Mike?
Yeah, well, I'm looking real quick. It says Canada right now is showing $7.60 a gallon, where US is
Really?
$5. Yeah, $5.93.
Well, because they don't refine, we do all the refining, so we're pretty much
Yeah.
bringing oil from Canada, refining it from and shipping it back. It's
Did you
crazy,
guys
dude.
hear about how people are stealing gas and drilling through the
Yes.
fuel
Yes,
line or whatever? I
crazy.
mean, we're
I'm
going to start
tempted to-
seeing a lot lot of that
I'm
coming up.
tempted to
and
go
that's
do
sad.
that. I got the tools.
That's like that. They used to do that back in the Jimmy Carter days.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
In the-
crazy though.
In the embargo, yeah.
All right, guys.
Very much for listening to We Could Be Wrong, but who cares?